I'll read through the names. So Christine Jones, Frank Riggs, TJ Shope, Al Melvin, Darla DeWald, Harold Van Gilder, Chad Roach, Tom Shope, Alice Lukasik, Doug Ducey, Amanda Stanford, Sean Babu, Jeff McClure, Cheryl Chase, Scott Smith, Alan Peace, Steve Fuller, Amy Fuller, Paul Babu, and Tom Rankin. So thank you all for being here, and again, thank you for your service. And also, the candidates who are here at the end of our meeting, we do have generally about a minute for each candidate to introduce yourselves. If you can stay to the end, that would be fantastic, and you can have a minute to introduce yourselves to everybody. So, with that, I'm going to turn over the podium to our Arizona Republican Party Chairman. Our first order of business is our candidate forum. For all of our Republican gubernatorial candidates, thank you again for running for office, and welcome to the forum. Our Arizona State Party Chairman, Robert Graham, will be our MC, so please welcome him with a big round of applause.
I was telling Sarah, I feel like Janet Jackson with his microphone up here. I was going to start dancing for you, but I don't know how long it's over. With all that being said, it's great that you're here. This is a great participation. Thanks for being here. We're excited about the gubernatorial race, but we're excited about all the things that are happening right now within the state. Give you a little backdrop. When you go into a forum like this, the goal is to learn about our candidates, obviously, to exchange ideas, to understand that it's ideas that keep the ball moving forward. So when you go through a gubernatorial discussion like this is our CEO of our state. These are the people that are going to lead us, potentially, with their ideas, with their devotion, with the principles and values that they care about, and they're going to do the best they possibly can, given what they believe. It's our job, as members of the Republican Party, as elected and appointed PCs, to engage in this process now so that we can help move the ball forward for the people we care about and who we want to support as we do this going forward. Okay, this forum is, just to give you a little background on how we're going to do it. I'm going to invite, if you've noticed, the name plaques are in alphabetical order, so I'm going to invite each one of the candidates up in alphabetical order. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to give an introduction and a little backdrop on themselves, and then we will dive right into the questions. The questions, I was given questions today, okay, and then you will be giving questions that Tommy and others are reviewing right now to come here to ask our particular candidates as we go through this. The candidates' answers will be limited to 2 minutes, okay? So that we can kind of cruise through this process. We want to get as many questions as possible in. So we're asking is that after a question, if you like it or not, please do not respond to their question with applause, or their answers with applause. The longer the applause, the fewer questions we can get to. So let's get the ideas on the table and do the best we possibly can. Okay, I am going to introduce people by way of the order of the table. So our first gubernatorial candidate, Secretary of State Ken Bennett. Our second candidate for governor, Treasurer Doug Ducey. Our next candidate for governor, Christine Jones. Okay, Alice, I hope I don't hammer your last name here. But our fourth gubernatorial candidate, Alice Lukasik. Was it? Lukasik, come on up. Next gubernatorial candidate, Senator Al Melvin. I was told earlier, I just want to confirm that Dr. John Molina is not here, correct? Correct. Okay, our next candidate is Frank Riggs. And our final gubernatorial candidate is Mayor Scott Smith. A lot of changes. This is the team. Okay, go ahead and take a seat. Okay, so we have an official timer, is our treasurer Timothy Lee, and just as a matter of fair warning, Timothy Lee is an enforcer, so I would encourage you to keep your answers to 2 minutes so as we go through this. Okay, now do we have the other questions that they've been brought? Tommy, do you have them? And I'll start with a few of these that we have. Okay, so there's a lot of issues that are very important in our state, and as we do our ID work, our polling, we get a good feel for our folks out there across the state. Each one of our counties, and even within the counties, regions have specific issues and things that they care deeply about. So some of the questions that I'm going to start with, I was given to you as I walked in the door today as kind of starter questions to get your juices flowing. I'm not going to go in any specific order. I'm just going to pick people randomly and try to give you all fair shake to answer the questions. Okay? And what's that? Oh yeah, that's good. I'm glad you're sitting here next to me. So before we do that, let's go through the intros, and why don't we go in reverse order this time, since we started with Ken I'll bring him up on the stage. Scott Smith.
Thank you. I'm Scott Smith. Until 2 days ago, Mayor of Mesa, and I enjoy doing that. And I thank you so very much for inviting us down to Pinal County. If you live up in the valley down, I guess if you're out, up, or inside Pinal County, it's an incredible place. I'm a 4th generation Arizona. I grew up in Tucson. I was born here. I have Arizona in my blood. Most of you were born elsewhere. That's typical of Arizona, which means you chose Arizona. Either way, we have a passion for this state. My father was in education. He was a school superintendent for 35 years in Tucson and in Mesa. And I was in business. I have a degree in accounting and served with Price Waterhouse and went on to business consulting for many years. That took me around this state to many different places. I was in a lot of copper mines and smelters and farms and ranches right here in Pinal County. And as a matter of fact, where now we sit, a lot of undeveloped land, and I got into home building. I built a lot of homes in Pinal County and have seen this place grow over the last 20 years in a way that's incredible. And what that's done is that's created issues for us that we need to deal with. Arizona will continue to grow. Why? Because it's a great place to be. I ran for office as mayor after I sold my business, a successful business, built it from literally liquidation. I was hired to take care of it, up to the point where we were doing almost $200 million in sales. And I sold that and decided to get involved in public service because I didn't like the way my city was going. There was a vacuum of leadership. I got involved because I felt that by giving service I could help change things. I'm running for governor because I want to build a better Arizona. I want an Arizona I'm planning on the future, the Arizona for our children, our grandchildren, to deal with issues that are important not only to us, but to those who will follow us. That's what our predecessors have done. And I'm Scott Smith, and will be happy to, and really happy to talk to you about those things of importance and share with my fellow candidates things of importance. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Frank Riggs, and according to the Arizona Political Report, the most impressive candidate that you've never heard of. So I really appreciate this opportunity to be with you this morning and visit. I'm running for governor of Arizona because I have a lifetime of leadership experience. I have proven leadership ability, skills, and courage to honestly address the very real challenges facing our state and get our state moving in the right direction again, to restore the promise that is Arizona, the promise that brought me and my wife of 34 years, Kathy, a native daughter born in Tucson, brought us to Arizona 12 years ago. I'm a proud Army veteran. I'm a former police officer, as is Kathy, which is how we met. We built a successful family business in real estate and outdoor advertising. I built the largest nonprofit organization in the country dedicated to helping public charter schools with their financing, facility financing and development needs. And oh yes, by the way, I'm a former 3-term United States Congressman. As a member of Congress, I helped expose congressional abuses at the House Bank and Post Office. In fact, you can see the photograph of the gang of 7 back in the back at our booth. We were Republican freshmen, the lowest form of life in Washington, D.C., but we had the courage to do the right thing. I went on to sponsor the Congressional Accountability Act, making Congress live under the very laws that they impose on the American people. And along with the Republican majority, we balanced the budget 4 straight years. When I left Congress, it seems hard to believe, we had a $238 billion budget surplus. We fundamentally reformed welfare. I'm running for governor to give back to my state. starting with, and I promise you this, I will stop the Obamization of Arizona and talk more about that in a minute.
State Senator Al Melvin, thank all of you for coming. I live in Pinal County in the beautiful community of Saddlebrook, and there are many fellow homeowners from Saddlebrook here today. We were discussing before the meeting how far the Republican Party has come in Pinal County. 12 years ago, we could almost meet in a telephone booth, but now we have every county-wide office except one. We've gone from 3 to 5 supervisors, of which 4 are Republican. These are good things. Yeah. It's a good conservative state, and we're on a roll. And we can't wait to get this Red Rock Picacho Peak facility open with the Union Pacific Rail to more fully employ our people in Coolidge and Eloy and Arizona City. But in the time that I've been at the Senate, when I arrived in '09, the budget that we inherited from Napolitano was $10.8 billion. The one we just finished, was $8.8. We cut $2 billion out of it. And in the process, Arizona went from the bottom 10 to the top 10 of all 50 states in 3 categories. We're number 1 in the nation now for business startups. We're number 1 for job creation as per Forbes magazine, and we're number 6 in overall pro-business climate. This is a good thing, and more will follow. When we get rid of the income tax, both corporate and individual, Texas-style tort reform, get rid of Common Core, universal school vouchers, the future is bright. I can't wait to get started. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning, Alice Lukasik here. An Arizonan for Arizona. I was born in 1958 in the height of the polio epidemic that killed so many. I have stood up for Arizona and a candidate for governor because there are problems running rampant in this state. Since the 2012 election, there has been an assault on our state through developers, through people in using titles of electors or appointed officials that are damaging every aspect of our state. The waste of land, the waste of water. Our founders knew crime. We want to think they were unique individuals. They knew the most heinous of crimes. To be imprisoned for opinions, to be imprisoned for beliefs, to have the threat of death, to have your property overrun and taken. They knew that we needed to cradle our existence within nature to survive. If an owl can't survive out there, how long are we going to survive out here if we don't respect what it takes for them to survive? Lincoln and our founders both knew that we could have enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, our domestic enemies may be a little bit difficult to identify, and the only way to identify them is by law, is by knowing Constitution, by knowing your county, by knowing state, federal, private land, agriculture, residence, and commercial. We have to safeguard these things. We have always had water shortages. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Christine Jones. I'm a Republican candidate for governor, and I'll keep doing this until the mic turns on.
It's on.
We good? We good?
Yeah.
Hi. Hold it up. When Arizona was seeking status as a state, the Constitutional Convention was opened each day with a prayer. My favorite prayer came on day 2 when the chaplain prayed. We pray thee, O Lord, that this body of men, the representatives of the people of the state of Arizona, would adopt such a constitution as would be acceptable to every citizen, and that it would grant unto Arizona statehood and place her among the grand galaxy of states in these United States, and that Arizona would be the brightest star in the Union. Isn't that good? I thought when I read that, is it possible that a prayer from 1910 could sum up why I'm running for governor in 2014? My husband's a career military officer, and we moved around the states a lot until we finally landed in Arizona in the 90s. And when we came here, we knew we had found home. We just fell in love with Arizona. And when you love something, you want it to thrive, and you want it to flourish, and you want it to prosper. I'm running for governor because I see that Arizona can be the brightest star in the Union, and I have a plan to make it so. I am an unapologetic conservative. I am a fierce defender of the Constitution, and I abide by a set of principles upon which we can all agree as conservatives. But since today is the Saturday between the night Jesus was crucified and Resurrection Sunday, I'd like to use the last few seconds of my time to celebrate our religious freedom. In whatever your faith tradition is, to give thanks for the fact that we are Americans and we live in this incredible place. Thank you.
My name's Doug Ducey, and I want to be your next governor. In this business, you're known by the company you keep, and it's more important what others say about you than what you say about yourself. I'm proud to announce that Arizona Right to Life, Sal DeCiccio and Trent Franks have stepped forward and endorsed my campaign. I'm proud that true, reliable, consistent conservatives have validated what I want to do, because I'm not from a political background. I grew up in Toledo, Ohio. My dad was a police officer growing up. I'm a product of the Midwest and the working class. Full disclosure, my first elective office was as homeroom representative in the 5th grade at Blessed Sacrament Grade School. And that was a tough primary too, but we got through it. My folks split up. My mom moved out west, and I had a high school counselor that pointed at a map and said, school's affordable out there and there's a lot of opportunity. So I got my Datsun B210 and I drove from Toledo to Tempe. I'd never been here and I didn't know one person. It's been quite an adventure. And I imagine some people in the room share a similar story. I'm just curious, how many folks here this morning were born somewhere other than the state of Arizona? So I say first, thanks to the natives for a great state. And second, I say, let's make sure that those of us from the Midwest, those from California, make sure that the bad ideas that are crippling those places and killing their economies are not applied here in the state of Arizona. I'm going to tell you a lot about my background over the next couple hours, but I want you to know I built a company. Now I want to shrink a government and grow an economy. Thanks for having me, and happy Easter.
It felt like during Doug's speech, the volume went up about tenfold there. Somebody's got the controls. Hi, I'm Ken Bennett, and I'm running for governor, and I ask for your support. Now, I want to say, as has kind of been said already, that obviously we have a decision to make in the Republican primary on August 26th. And that's a very important decision. But August 27th is probably even more important, because that's the day that we have to come together and support whoever among us is nominated by the Republican voters of Arizona. Now, I'm going to do everything I can to earn your support and be that person. But whoever it is, we need to get behind that person. 12 years ago, 3 people were running for governor in the Republican primary. One of them won the primary, and the other 2, I'm sure, felt pretty bad about losing. It took 3 or 4 weeks for one of those to embrace and support the campaign of Mr. Salmon, that he had won the nomination. And the other one never did endorse and support our nominee. And sure enough, a few months later in November, Matt lost to a lady named Janet Napolitano by 1/2 of 1%. 1/2 of 1%. Now, I was just becoming the president of the Senate at that time, and I had to serve with Janet Napolitano as our governor. And that was pretty tough. But we did some good things back then, and I think one of the things that's unique in the next governor is integrity, experience, and vision. And I hope I know we'll have the opportunity to talk about that. But experience, we all have some business experience. Some of us have local government experience. Some have national or whatever, state. I'm one that brings it all together and has that leadership experience to move Arizona forward. Thanks, Tim.